Hey, what's going on YouTube? MarineX back at it again. Wuben has dropped another one, and if this one sells out, I actually would be kind of surprised. All right, so back at it again, man. I'm glad to have you guys with me today. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you get a lot of benefit from this video. And this is going to be a review, not an overview, because I've had this flashlight for well over a month, closer to 2 months, and I've carried it extensively. This is the Wuben T4. This is what they call a portable flashlight. We're going to talk about some specs, some comparables, and whether or not I recommend this. Wuben has been really trying to find their own space lately when it comes to flashlights. They've come out with a lot of different designs, a lot of different just looks, that kind of things that make them unique. They're coming out with pin lights. They are coming out with flashlights that have their own rechargeable cases. They have aesthetically pleasing lights. Then they also have, kind of more the bigger style 18650. So then so Wuben has dropped the T4, which is their version, I guess, more of a tactical flashlight, which seems to be trying to compete in the space with Olights, the Seeker 4 Mini, plus probably a ton of other Olights that look similar to this. And then the Phoenix PD 25R. They're all a similar size. They all have similar specs, and we're going to talk about which one might be right for you. But let's talk about this one first. So you can get it in two different colors. You have this one here they call the original color. Both of them are aluminum alloy bodies, but I'm not sure if they are exactly the same because this one costs more than the black version. And I couldn't really decipher on their website what the difference was. So this is like I said, aluminum alloy construction. I don't know why this costs more. I don't know if it has different LEDs. I couldn't decipher on the website. If anybody knows, let me know down below. So one thing I would say, this is using an Osram LED. This is a 650 Kelvin light. The light on this thing is kind of a spot mixed with a flood. IPX68 waterproof means it can go about 3 feet underwater for about an hour or so and still be waterproof. It does have a Type-C charging port, so you can charge the battery while it's inside, or if you want to, you can just buy some 18350 batteries from Amazon or from Wuben and just replace the battery on the fly. So it's a common size battery. It uses O-rings, which are common size. It does have a rear tail switch with momentary features in it. You can use it for self-defense if you use the front of it. So a lot of different features on this thing, but I'm going to tell you why this thing is not necessarily the best for patrolling, for using it for rucking and stuff like that. Now, this thing does have a 850 lumen turbo mode, and it does have a max distance of 401 meters for the beam distance, although that's probably further than the eye can see at night. So I don't know how helpful that will be for you, but that's pretty good for illuminating a dark hallway and stuff like that. As mentioned, the actual charging port is hidden underneath this little unscrew area. Kind of make sure the pocket clip's not in your way. You can charge this thing pretty easily. It does have different modes at the bottom. We're going to talk about what was wrong with my specific model when it comes to the mode features here in a second. But you do have a lockout mode, a tactical mode, and a general mode. So in order to switch those modes, you just simply kind of pull down on this little decompress on this trigger right here. And when you decompress on the trigger, you switch to another mode. Okay. And you could just simply switch around to the different modes, and it's not very hard to do. But they did kind of send me, this is sent to me, I think, as a final prototype. And I say that for a couple of reasons. This anodized coloring, it might be kind of hard to see here, but this coloring here is not exactly the same. It's hard to see on camera, but they're not exactly the same, which might just be me having a prototype. But the big thing that I noticed is when I'm in lockout mode, I can actually turn the flashlight on, and it turns on to tactical mode. So I'm going to warn you, it's going to be a strobing light behind me over my shoulder, but that's lockout mode. Lockout mode should not do anything. And you might be able to clearly see on there that I am in lockout mode. You can see the arrow with the word lock underneath, and it turns on. When I go to duty mode, that goes to like it should. Duty mode should shine normal, right? And that's doing exactly what I needed to. And then you can choose the different switches. Let me show you here. So duty mode is working like it should, where you can push the switch behind and go through the different modes. And then when I switch over to tactical mode, that acts like the lockout mode for my specific flashlight. Now, hopefully they fix this for the production models, the coloring and the items at the bottom. But because they sent it to me like this, that, you know, that affects the way that I think about this light. This is not an anodized aluminum, and the impact resistance might. You also need to think about scratch resistance. It is a hardened. It feels like a kind of a hardened aluminum, but it's not anodized. So I think that this could scratch eventually. The color could start to come off. That's kind of thing that kind of happens with aluminum. So that's something that you have to think about. So I've just showed you what's wrong with my rotating switch. I'm not going to put that as a con. I'm going to put that as a prototype. Pay attention to that if you buy this. I will put this in a con category. This pocket clip is completely laughable. So I've left it at this point to see if I can on camera. So if I bend this back, there's no reason that I could like break this pocket clip so easily. That makes no sense whatsoever. And the pocket clip is easily removed. I can take it off way too easy. I don't think that that's a good thing at all. It is reversible. You can move it around as you see fit. But, you know, we look at some of their competitors, the pocket clips are not that easily broken, not that easily moved. That needs improvement. And before I broke the pocket clip, one thing to mention is this pocket clip does not allow for you to wear this on the brim of your hat. So if you're wearing this like this with the beam down in your pocket or on your flak or whatever, you have to take this off and flip it around to possibly even to be able to wear this thing on your cover. And it just didn't work out that great. So the pocket clip is laughable, but I think it is a common size where you might even be able to buy an aftermarket and put it on there. Let's see if I can swap out the Phoenix pocket clip for it. And it's a little bit too small, but you probably can find a similar size flashlight and switch out the pocket clips. Okay. So that's something to think about. Another thing I don't like is that it only has, in general mode, it has 4 modes, really. So that is the medium mode. No, that's high mode. So that's 350 lumens. That's low mode right there. This is medium mode, 150. So I don't like the fact that this thing, I'm not a fan that it doesn't have, I wish I had a 50 lumen mode. That would be like a really good working mode for this light, I think, overall. This thing having 5 lumens and then 150 lumens is like really the working space for this light. I don't think that that's the sweet spot. I think that for this size light, it will make more sense. And for this size battery, you're putting a lot of stress on the battery at only having 150 lumens and 5 lumens. I wish there was an in-between. At 50 lumens, that would be pretty nice. This thing has an optional accessory of this like tactical ring that you can buy on their website. This is like an additional $8, maybe a little bit less tonight for the launch. But when you add this thing on, you now have added this tactical ring to the Wuben, which gives it this fantastic look to it. And if I didn't break the pocket clip, it still can be used with the pocket clip, which is a nice touch. So if you still wanted to, you can put the pocket clip right there, and you can still technically keep the pocket clip on. So that's something that's nice to be able to see and to have. But first off, if you're trying to differentiate yourself, I think that you should have included this little ring with the purchase of the Wuben T4, and then make this as an accessory for your other products. It does have like a little lanyard hole here. I didn't test that because I don't run key rings or lanyard holes most of the time, but you can do that. And you can put this on your fist like this, and then you have this tungsten steel glass breaker / self-defense tool, and it makes it a lot more comfortable to hold this thing. Once you have it like this, it's way more comfortable to pull this thing out of a pouch or whatever. So I think that that's pretty cool. When this is on, it's almost impossible to carry this via your pocket, and you only can take this on or off by unscrewing it and rescrewing it. That can be a headache. And you also have to consider the fact that this is an additional cost, where a lot of their promotional materials lead you to believe that it's included, but it's not. So you have to think about that as well. We'll talk about another con is this hideaway port for the charging port. I think that it could have been implemented in a different way when it comes to like the charging port. They wanted a hiding charging port. I understand that, but it's just kind of like, it won't come off. Even if I were to remove this ring or whatever, that's not going to come, but it makes a lot of noise. You're not going to be charging this thing a lot, but there's other ways to implement a hidden, hidden charging features. So for instance, this is the Nycor EDC33. This also has a hidden USB-C charging feature, but it's just so much more elegant the way that they do this thing, where you can turn it and expose the USB-C port at the very top. You turn it and it hides the USB-C port. I have other flashlights that have that middle ring kind of feature as well, and they do it a little bit different. So this is, I think, one of the direct competitors to the Wuben T4. This is the Phoenix PD25R. And for this one, you kind of do the twisting feature, and the USB-C is right there. But look at this. No jiggle action on that charging port. It's all implemented within the tool. It has a lot of actual resistance to this. It feels really good to turn that, even though you're not going to be charging this thing forever. So this is going to be improved. This has to be improved on the next model, in my opinion. So those are some things to think about. And I also wish that they offered this in different light temperatures other than just 65 kelvins. You may want a warmer light for whatever reason, but you only can get it in that one LED configuration. This actual glass breaker right here comes off way too easily. If you bump this thing wrong, it comes off. Now, I know you can put some Loctite on here and leave it on there or whatever. And they probably made it this way. Just some countries are really weird about what you can and cannot fly with. So they probably made it removable this easy so you can travel with this flashlight. In America, you'd probably be okay with that, but other countries, maybe not so much. But if you want that to stay on more, put a little bit of Loctite on there. I would have preferred they put Loctite on there and make it harder for me to get off versus harder to keep it on and lose it. We have to think about this in context. What is the price of this thing? So MSRP on this specific color is $70, and it looks like the black color is $59. I don't know the difference between the two. I wish they gave me a little bit more on the website. They only give you 15 days to replace this if you buy it on their website. Most companies give you 30 days, but it does have a 5-year warranty, which is pretty good. So because of the launch event, the flashlight is $62 in this color, which I like this color a lot. Or you can get it for $53.91 in black. Because they basically function the same way with the actual LED itself, I probably would just get it in black and save the money, but that's going to be up to you. Where does that put this in pricing wise? So we say that this is, let's call it $69 or $59, depending on which one that you actually get. So compared to that, you can look at the Phoenix PD25R. So as I mentioned earlier, this has a max output of 850 lumens at 400 meters. And this one has a max output of 800 lumens at about the same distance. Okay. So this actually can do 250 meters. So a little bit less, but it's still pretty functional. But this has more light modes to it. This has the low lumen mode of 5 lumens. It also has an echo mode of 5 lumens, a low lumen mode of 30. Then they have a medium of 150, high of 350, turbo of 800, and a strobe is 800. So both of these strobes are 800 or above. This is 850 for a strobe. This is 800 for the strobe. But because you get more of those features, you can run this at 30 lumens and get more battery life out of the Phoenix PD25R. Now, the things I don't like about the Phoenix PD25R is the momentary switch is what allows you to turn this thing on, but to switch through the different light modes, you have to push a little button that's on the side, and that's how you switch through the different light modes. And that does kind of suck because when you pull it out your pocket, you turn it on this way, and unless your fingers are already on this little button right here, you're going to be struggling going through the different light modes. So that's one little complaint, but it's not that big of a deal, especially it's not like you're pulling this thing out super fast or whatever. But this Phoenix is $59.95, comes in 2 different colors, so it's competing price-wise. It has a little bit of texture on the actual rear tail switch, and that matters when you're trying to feel and make sure you have your hand on there. This is completely slick. That's a difference. As I mentioned earlier, the actual hidden feature for the USB-C charging is a little bit more elegant on the Phoenix. It has a smaller footprint. And to have such a smaller footprint and they're basically the same amount of lumens, I think that matters. This is the biggest feature between these two, though, is this has an anodized aluminum. So this has a better hardness rating, meaning that it can take a higher drop fall resistance. and you can also less likely to scratch. And I've had a good experience with all my Phoenix flashlight with this anodized material that they use on these things. I think they're really good. So that's something to think about. So what this is the same price for the black, for the PD. The only thing about this Phoenix flashlight, it uses a 18340, which I'm pretty sure you can buy these on Amazon, but I don't think I've ever heard of an 18340 until I got this flashlight. But most likely you can go on Amazon, scoop these things up. But here's the thing about both of these flashlight. Neither one of them can be stood up on their rear. As soon as you go to do that, they fall over. Same thing with this one. They fall over. So that's something that you want to think about as well. So something that you also may want to consider would be the Olight Seeker 4 Mini. All right, so then you have the Olight Seeker 4 Mini, which has been out longer, which means you can normally get some pretty good pricing on it. We're going to talk about what I do and don't like about this as well. On their website, this is $79.99, and it does come in 2 different color temperatures. You can get it in 5,700 kelvins or you can get it in 6,700 kelvins. On Amazon, it's cheaper. It's always cheaper. I don't know why, but it's $55.99 on Amazon. This has a 1200 lumen max output, which is higher than both of the previous flashlights. This has a distance of 120 meters, and that's because this is more of a flood beam, not a spot. So you have to think about that. And this also has a UV light, which can be good for detecting stains, cleanliness of a room, ringworm detection, stuff like that on a person's body. You can use the UV light for stuff like that. And the Olight has a magnetic base, so you can stick this to something. And these are polar opposites, so these aren't working. But if these were the same metal, you can normally stick to the Olight to something, and you can use this thing hands-free. And this has a titanium alloy body, depending on which one that you get. If you get the one that I have specifically has a titanium alloy, you can get the aluminum version, which is like a matte black. And so you have different options for the finish on these. And this, I think it looks pretty premium. Now, it is an Olight, so it does use an 18350 battery, but it's an Olight 18350 battery, meaning you can't just go to Amazon and buy these things up. It does use special technology that allows the battery to work in conjunction with the flashlight. And because it's an Olight, you have to use their proprietary charger, which is that little ring charger that comes in the box. But once you got a couple of Olights, you got a lot of these things laying around. I think it looks a lot better than the Wuben as well. And if you can get it for the $55 mark, it might make sense. The Wuben T4. Who is this for? Who should get it? And all of that good stuff. If you do patrolling, if you do rucking, the Wuben T4 is not for you. That pocket clip needs to be able to be put on a flak or a plate carrier and be able to take on shoulder straps over and over and over again. And this pocket clip breaks entirely too easily. If you pocket carry a lot, then the Wuben T4 may not be for you because it's big in the pocket. So if you pouch carry quite often, then this can be for you. If you like the way that it looks, if you like those 3 modes on the bottom, then that might be something that you may want to consider as well. But for me personally, the unique feature of the Wuben T4 is this ring, and it's not so with it. So this becomes kind of an ordinary flashlight. A lot of companies sell tactical looking flashlights. They just happen to have a nice color on this one. I don't think there's anything super special about the Wuben T4 if you don't include this little ring. If you're thinking about some of its competitors, if you're okay with, if you mainly pocket carry, then I would highly recommend taking a look at the Phoenix PD25R. Other than the fact when you take it out your pocket, you have to push the side switch to go through the modes. But other than that, I like a lot of things about this flashlight. I love the size. I love the pocket clip. You can easily wear this on your hat or whatever. It's a very sturdy pocket clip, and it's adjustable, and it has a non-roll resistant design. So when you have this thing on, because of the knurling and because of the pocket clip, it wants to avoid rolling off a surface. And so I think that's pretty good as well. If you need the UV light, and you would want a really strong pocket clip, which I think is the strongest of all of them, and you do a lot of rucking, the Olight Seeker 4 Mini could be for you. It doesn't have the beam distance because it's a floodlight, but it's a floodlight. So if you're illuminating a tree line, it's going to illuminate more of the tree line and have higher lumens, which is really good. It has a UV light, and this, because of the shape of the pocket clip, it's what I like to call, quote unquote, put on wrong. But the Olight Seeker 4 is really put on here for you to put it on your chest as a rucking or a shoulder strap flashlight, and then tip your whole shoulder strap forward to use the flashlight. That's why they have this on here. It's not adjustable, so it's a very sturdy pocket clip, but it makes a lot of sense. So that's my recommendation for the Wuben T4. Comment down below. What do you guys think about that? Is the Wuben T4 something that you want to pick up? I know other creators have dropped videos on it, and Wuben has had some hits before. I think that unless you can get the Wuben T4 with this little ring that's included, it's going to be a hard pass for me. I don't know what's included in the box. On their website, it tells you what's included. I did not get, it was a prototype, so it was just sent to me in a package. So I'm assuming you get a charger. You probably get a charger similar to like this, which Wuben has been innovating with their chargers lately, which this is a lanyard for your neck, but it also includes a charging cable behind you. So I think that that is pretty cool to have a charging cable built into your lanyard for your neck. I don't know if that's what that included or not, because I didn't get all that stuff when I got the flashlight. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about this thing. And I'm going to see if I can buy a replacement pocket clip that's better than the one that I have on here, and see if it's just a more durable flashlight overall. If this is your first time stopping by, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for stopping by. You've already done what I need you to do, okay? For everyone else, we'll speak soon.